But now if you did day one the way it was intended, things should feel a little less chaotic. Not perfect, just quieter. Day 1 through 30 was about stabilization. Day 30, now we're getting into structure. This is the point where most shelters either get relief or they slide back into reactionary mode. The difference is systems. I'm a big systems person. Not complicated systems, not bureaucracy, just repeatable ways of handling the same problem so they stop showing up every day. It's just like if you go to a restaurant and you order the same thing on the menu every time because you know it's going to taste the same way every time. That's the system. The restaurant has a system for making their food, and it should taste the same way every time. This is the same thing in dog form, cat form. That's it. The system is not a 40-page standard operating procedure. It is not a committee, a spreadsheet nobody ever looks at, or a policy that exists only in someone's head. How many policies do you have floating around in your head right now? I have a bunch, and that's probably where they're going to stay. Good systems make decisions easier, not heavier. They reduce emotional labor and decision fatigue for everyone, especially you. Decision fatigue is similar to compassion fatigue, only in a different way. Choosing the right systems to build first. This is where people get into trouble. You can't build everything at once. You'll drive yourself crazy and everyone around you crazy. You choose two systems based on pressure points in your facility. You identified those pressure points. What were the problems? You did that in day 1 through 30. If something causes daily friction, repeated confusion, or constant interruptions, it's a good candidate for this part. Common examples are intake and surrender flow. How is that working for you? Daily operations or cleaning routines. It may seem simple, but it may be driving everyone crazy. Staff communication and decision making. Role clarity and scheduling. Who's supposed to be doing what? Who's in charge of each area? Two systems is not a suggestion. More than that creates resistance and overwhelm for you and for your staff. You cannot fix everything at once. Here's the framework I recommend. Keep it simple enough to explain in 1 minute. If you can't explain it quickly, it won't survive in real life. Second, write it down once. One document, one version. Third, test it for 2 weeks, but don't change anything. Don't keep tweaking it. Just test it the way it's written. Let it go. Adjust based on reality, not on ego at the end of that time. Most staff resistance isn't about people being difficult. It's about unclear expectations or constantly changing rules. Consistency builds trust faster than perfection. What should you involve your staff in and what should you not? This part really matters. You should involve staff in feedback, not designed by committee. Ask questions like, what part of this process slows you down? Where does this break in the real life day-to-day activity? What's not working? What feels unclear? Don't you understand? What don't you understand? Or what doesn't the customer understand? Avoid questions like, what system do you want? How should leadership handle this? Feedback helps with improvement, but it doesn't replace leadership. When people feel heard or seen and see consistency, they'll buy and will follow. The biggest mistake to avoid in this time period is trying to systemize everything. Not everything needs a rule. Not every problem needs a policy. And that's where we make the mistake where we think everything needs to have this giant binder of shit that you don't need. Your goal is to reduce repeat fires, not eliminate every possible scenario. You can't. It's an animal shelter. Every single day is different. You cannot predict every scenario and write down a policy for it. If a system adds stress, instead of removing stress, it needs to be simplified or paused. Day 30, this time period is about consistency. You're installing guardrails so your shelter doesn't rely on heroics to function. Pretty simple. Guardrails. Under this video, you're going to find your 30-day action steps. Complete those before you move forward. Going forward is about sustainability of what you're creating now. Making sure these systems that you build don't burn people out or depend entirely on you. That's big. You're not finished, but you're building something that lasts. And I want to make a point here. When we're talking about what systems to fix, seriously think about what is causing anxiety. If intake is a thing, if when a dog comes in, everybody's running around, nobody knows what to do, that's something to fix. If your animals are being adopted out willy-nilly, then your adoption process needs to be fixed. There's a bonus at the end of this training about adoption policies. You need to really pick 2 things that you can make a change and focus on those. Don't get in the weeds over here with the other things that might be going on in the shelter. Pick the 2 things that's making everyone crazy. Focus on that. Fix those 2 successfully. And then as you go forward, you'll know what really needs fixing, maybe tweaking, maybe just needs to be left alone. Thanks for being here.